balmy shores of sunny Florida to the cold winds of Chicago and everywhere in between, you're watching the Red Wimet Show, live, coast to coast. And now, Chicago's talk of the town, Mr. Red Wimet.
Hello, everybody. Today is United States Marine Corps birthday, November 10th, 2025, and I am Red Wimet. How you folks doing today? Well, I picked a subject that they can't pick on me. Hello, everybody. Happy Marine birthday, Redis. Thank you, Big Tuna. I appreciate that. I'll put you up on the screen. That was nice, yeah. Long time ago. A memory. But not one that I forgot. I have some memories I wanted to forget. Okay, I picked the subject of tough guys, real tough guys. And if you really want to look at the Chicago outfit, going back in the days, the real tough guys were younger guys, but they got older. And it seems, when I look at them, the real heavies, the real badasses, were out of Cicero. They were definitely out of Cicero. Now, the ones that I knew and knew of, they were rugged. I mean, very rugged. And even Diane, you folks remember Diane? Some of you do, maybe. But Diane Hansen, she's not Diane Hansen anymore, but she's Diane to me always. She dated a few of those guys. And one of them was called Mo. And he was Joe Yayupa's son. Or maybe nephew, I'm not sure. But he used to grab cops and beat them up. He used to grab them with one hand, jerk them out of the car, and just smash them all around. But he's a big guy. And all these real bad guys that I'm going to talk to were leg breakers. They were big guys. They didn't hide in the woods in a hidden place with a gun. They walked up to you and they hurt you. And that's what they were all about. I forgot about that. Hey, Tim, how you doing, buddy? Are you healing up? Tim Peroni. Hope you're doing good, buddy. But he was something else. But one other that I knew that came out of that was younger. When I say younger, closer to my age, was Tony Pellicano. Tony Pellicano was famous for using his Louisville Slugger on somebody's legs. These people were bad people. Same thing with a guy by the name of Turk Torello. His real name was James. And he also was a Marine. He's something else. Very different. We got an answer from Tim. Tim says, yes, sir. Okay. That means he's healing up. That's good. Scott H., why do you think they got so mean? I don't know that they got every mean. They most of the time in the old days, before you had the wild bunch and people like that, which were wild and crazy, people only did things with business. I mean, Milwaukee Phil was as easy going as you could possibly get. But if you tried to screw him, and he knew you deliberately tried to screw him, he'd peel your skin off. He was a bad guy, a real bad guy, tough guy. He was one of the tough guys. But when you go back to that old crew, back in that era, Sam Giancana, they called him Mooney because he was kind of, howling at the moon. But he was a bad guy. When he ran with the 42 gang when he was young, he wasn't that kind old man that you saw getting off the plane. He was the kind of guy that would break your legs, knock your head off. Bad guy. Now, as far as the mean part goes, Scott, I don't know. I sat down with some of these guys and had dinner with them. I got in the cars with them. I spent time with them. I didn't see mean in them. I actually didn't see mean in them at all. And as a matter of fact, I wanted to point out to you, so many jokes. I have the picture here. So many jokes about Joey Lombardo, or people saying that Joey Lombardo, you couldn't joke with him. You couldn't fool around with him. You couldn't mess with him. The joke was always on you. That's not true. If he liked you as a person, it wasn't business. He just did it. He was a tough guy. When he was young, he had no problem taking a baseball bat to somebody. Tony Accardo, same thing. Where do you think he got the name? Joe Batters. These were real tough guys. It almost reminds me of a line out of a movie with Robert De Niro, The Bronx Tale. When he's talking about, I forget who was doing this. I think it was him. But he's talking about a gun in your hand. He said, yeah, I put a gun in his hand, He's a tough guy. He said, but he's talking about if he'd wet his pants. He was talking about something. He said, the real guy, the guy gets up and works every day. The guy that does something. He's moving around. He's doing things. He's the tough guy. And I found the same thing to be with the outfit. They were tough. Here it comes. Hey, Red and chat. Snowing here in New York. Lisa B. Where in New York? That's a big state. If you say New York City, but it was people like that. Marshall Cafano, he was a little guy. He wasn't that big. But when he was a kid, he was violent, very violent. Albany. Yeah. Albany, New York. That's terrific. I like it up there. Good place to go deer hunting up in that area, upstate New York. Yeah, it's about an hour, but it's a lot different than being in New York City. Albany's the capital, I believe. And the last time I saw it, there were a lot of deer up there. There's a lot of places to go deer hunting. Kind of nice. Thank you. Tim Peroni wanted to thank you for Christina for inquiring about his health. We've gone on to the weather. Joseph Coyle. Chicago got its first snowfall already. Wow. We had a cold snap here. Yesterday it was 80 something, and today it's only like 70 degrees. Still is good deer hunting up there. I'll bet it is. They had some big deer up there. Buffalo, any place upstate New York was great deer hunting. Not that I would know about that kind of thing because I like deer. I like to deer hunt. And I certainly wouldn't do it in New York. But our crazy people were crazy. It was just a whole different ballgame for the people that weren't crazy. They weren't wild. Dick White, Tony Spilaccio. Tony Spilaccio was somebody you could reason with. Very much so. I don't remember anybody that was made that you couldn't reason with. Now, there were people that weren't made that were really badasses. I mean, they were tough guys. The Pulahanas family, Nick Pulahanas, George Pulahanas, those guys that break your legs in 2 seconds. They would put you out on the curb and drive over your legs if they were in the street. Somebody would hold you and the other person would run over your legs. They were bad. They were mean. You don't want to owe them money at all. That's Zach. Red, I'm so happy you're alive. So am I. Anywho, okay, as long as we're talking about crazy stuff here, make comments about the weather. It's cool here on the East Coast, Florida. It's supposed to get cold tonight. Well, they're telling us over here that it's going to be 10 degrees tonight in the middle of the night, like maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. It's supposed to be 10 degrees. We've got northeast winds coming down. But then it's supposed to warm up in 2 days. So I'll let the water run a little bit tonight. That's all. Tim Hunt, what would happen if someone missed a juice loan payment? Usually, if they missed a payment, somebody would go and talk to them. I've seen that happen a lot of times. And if they make a baloney excuse, something that's totally not true, they're liable to get a slap on the head. But they'll get told when to bring the money. You better have my money by Thursday. You better have my money by Monday. You better have my money by Friday, whatever. And when I say you better, they're giving you a chance. They just walk up to somebody and beat them up for no reason at all. They gave him a chance. So if you didn't pay it after that, you already knew, and you got a warning, somebody is going to, some guy may hold you while another guy punches you in the gut. It was just going to be one of those things. It was that way. Maybe somebody'd punch you around, knock you down, kick you, or maybe they'd take a baseball bat to you. I mean, you get hit once or twice with a baseball bat, you don't want to fight back. That's for sure. People start screaming for mercy. Sean Nolte, miss too many payments and you become pulp in the juice. Yes, that's the truth. Good to see you, Sean. Hit that like button. Come on. Be a good guy. Nobody's saying hi to Sean. Say hi to Sean. He's a good guy. Thank you for stopping by, buddy. Red, wasn't Frank the German friends with Tony and worked for him? At the time, he worked with him. Frank, I assume you're talking about Schweiss. Schweiss was Milwaukee Phil's bodyguard. And the way it worked was that Tony Spilaccio and Joey Lombardo were part of that crew, but they weren't made yet. They got made later on. Tony got made during the M&M murders. That was his make. That's when he got made. Joey got made for the Manny Scar murder. I think they were both in 62, if I'm not mistaken. They both got made at the same time. But Phil was the one that actually brought them up. Milwaukee Phil Aldericio. He was an interesting guy. Dominic Calandra. Don't let me murder your name. Hello, Sean, Brad, and chat. Everybody in the chat. Sounds like somebody hit a home run. Hey, hey. Ryan Brown. My grandfather was in a shipyard in Massachusetts. He owed either his loan shark or a bookie money, and he got walloped with a blackjack. He came up with the money. A blackjack will do it. Actually, I'm going to give everybody a peek at what a blackjack looks like. I think, if you want to see it. This is called a slap. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of the comment. There we go. That is what they call a sap or a flapjack, F-L-A-P. We call them blackjacks. A real blackjack has a round ball on the end of it, and it usually kills you because you're either going to break a bone or you put a hole in the skull. It's really rough. Not good. That is a useful thing for collectors. They seem to like it. It fit nice in my back pocket. I have one right here. But then I got the gloves too. They're leather gloves. And believe me, when I have those leather gloves on, they got lead BBs in them. You can put your hand through a wall. I've actually put my hand through a cinder block. Never hurt my hand at all. So there are other weapons and ways to do it. Andy Frayne Usher used those in a bunch, you know, from firsthand. I never had anybody hit me with them. My favorite trick with them was if something happened and I had to use it, it was the kind of thing that when somebody would reach out and punch at me, I would snap their hand. Whap. And that did two things. Number one, they'd hold their hand because it hurt. And they certainly wouldn't want to punch with it again. So it put both their hands free. It's a good weapon. You can kill somebody with it, though. It's very possible. CPD used to carry slappers. I don't remember when they did. Those have always been illegal. Lead and leather wrapped persuasion tool. I have, yeah, you got the sap gloves. I don't use brass knuckles. They hurt your hands. I've never gone to use those to collect from anybody anyway, or do anything to anybody. Though everything I have, I use as a defensive tool. Tim Hunt, you're right. Roller quarters works very nicely. Jim Jagger, it's not illegal till you get caught. Not with me. It's illegal when I'm doing something where I could get caught. That's illegal. If I look like there isn't anything that I would trade to go to jail or maybe prison, but even 30 days in a county jail, I don't want to do that time. Maybe you do. I don't. I don't want to take the chance. Brian Brown, also ASP baton is effective. Yeah, it is. Christina Morris. Tim, I like the sound of that now. Now we're getting creative. Okay, guys. So at any rate, getting back to the tough guys in the mob. Let's say Zach. Red, did you know Action Jackson? Or talked to the guys that participated in his torture and murder. Actually, I got a full accounting of his murder from Sam DiStefano. Sammy D. He told me, I guess he shot him multiple times in non-vital parts of his body, and with a 22 rifle. He enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. They did a lot of things to that poor guy, and he had a heart attack and died. I think that was a blessing for him. Yes, I got a lot of accountings on that. Tim Hunt, if it breaks you, tell them to keep the change, you filthy animal. Oh, we're in that Christmas season again. Kevin. So the ones also, the ones I'm going to describe to you that were really tough guys was Chucky Nicoletti. He was tough, vicious, tough. But this is what I really say about tough guys. Real tough guys, they don't need 2-3 people. They don't need anybody but themselves. Now, sometimes they may take somebody to back them up in case somebody else has a gun, but they don't need anybody. They just do it themselves. Schweiss was one of those people. Dick Hoyt was also. He didn't need anybody else. Milwaukee Phil, he didn't call anybody and say, hey, come with me. Even when he was older, he didn't. He had big mitts, so he just grab you. That was the end of it. Tony Accardo, when he was a young man, he might have been short. He might not have been the tallest guy in the world, but he had no problem taking a baseball bat and either beating your brains out with it or just hitting you in the back, the elbows, the arms, the legs, all that stuff. And Scott H., should Tony kill a guy with a pen? I assume you mean Tony Spilaccio. No, that was in the movie Casino. And it was actually something that I knew that happened on numerous occasions in prisons because they didn't have weapons. So a guy would take a pen, a pencil, something small like that, and stab very viciously in the throat and try and get that jugular vein. Big Tuna, you're right. Big Tuna 815. Real tough guys don't hesitate. They just get it done. That's true. And they needed some real tough guys down on Rush Street to handle that crowd. And it was bad. Really was. It was a car wash, wasn't it, Red? I don't know what you're talking about, Lisa. Mickey Griggs, how do you like my score of $130? How you doing, Mickey? Ryan Brown, as far as the Alpha Tough Guys, Harry Ailman comes to mind. No, Harry was a shooter. Name all the other people, any of the other people that you named in that comment. Frank Schweiss, he'd have beat his brains out. Milwaukee Phil would have beat his brains out. Butch Petroselli, he would have beat his brains out. Harry was a shooter. He was a killer, but he wasn't a tough guy. Oh, yeah. His daughter wrote a book, They Can't Hurt Me Anymore. And she talks about somebody coming to the door when they're having dinner. And he sucker punched a guy 3 or 4 times. Really messed him up bad. But he wasn't that bad. Lisa B. Didn't Frank Collada tell that story at the car wash? I don't know if he did or not. Lisa, is that the one you're looking for? Okay. That's what it's about. Well, everybody hears things, Nutsack Zach, and I also heard the same thing. If Tony needed help, he would have asked for it. For a little guy, Tony was tough. Brian Brown, that makes sense now. You say that, Red? A killer is a far cry from a natural tough guy. Yeah, it is. Who is the biggest faker? I don't know. Driver Oath? Arth? I have no idea who the biggest faker is. Welcome to see you, though. Scott H. That's right. It was Frank Calabrese that drove by. It was. Welcome, Driver Arth. A-R-T-H. But as I go through my list of real tough guys, here we go. Sean, the biggest faker? Who's the biggest pro wrestler? You aren't talking about wrestler like in WH wrestling. They were all fakers. You went on Frank Calabrese's tour in Chicago, and he told you about it. That's true. And I'll tell you what I know, and it had nothing to do with anything else. It certainly had nothing to do with Moblog. I was told by other people that that Frank Collada was a force to be reckoned with. He was a tough, hard, solid man. Peanuts told me that. There was a lot of people that told me that he was, and as many people have said, and it's been confirmed, it's not just by Frank Collada, but his nickname was Brahma. And that's because he was like a bull. And he could do just about anything. He was strong, very strong. Yes, I would have to say Gianni Russo is the biggest faker, but best liar. You know, he lies so good. He says all these things and says, I wouldn't put it in my book unless it was true. Yeah. You know what all your books are, though? All of his books are novels. The biggest suckers in the world are the people that buy them. Hey, at least I wrote something that is true. Every bit of it in there is true. Jim Magnifici, one of the worst scuffles I got into as a cop was a drunk woman who kicked the bar manager in the nuts and then tried to take my badge off my coat and poke my eyes with the pin. Wow. That's a rough one. A very rough one. Ryan Brown, was Mario Di Stefano a tough guy? Yes. Mario was a tough guy. Mario could take care of 2-3 people by himself. He was really good. Sean Nolte, there's a difference between wrestler and wrestler. Pros were tough, rough. Wrestlers are all show. Gotcha. Guys are making me laugh. I watched a couple of videos and I got to kick it up. Okay, you just came out of the the woodwork there, Sean or Jim Magnifici. You were a cop. Yes. Red, who is the toughest guy in the outfit with their hands, in your opinion? I'm thinking about it. With their hands. Tony was a one puncher. He was good with his hands. Pete the Greek Tunis. I mean, this guy he was like a pro wrestler. He worked Rush Street. He worked for Caesar. And later on, he worked for Pudgy. But he went to prison several times. He was good. I mean, he could brawl with the best of them, take a beating too, and still come back. That's just the way it was. Wayne Bach was a very tough guy, but he was a big guy. Wayne Bach could pick you up with one arm, and that's the way it was. No, Tim Hunt. Mad Sam was not a tough guy. I hate to tell you this, but even when I was a young man, I was in the basement. If he would have been alone and I would have felt threatened enough, a couple slaps and it would have been over. He could have been knocked down with one hand. Just one hand. You could knock that guy down. He's an old man. A vicious old man that liked to torture people. But he'd have somebody else soften him up first. That's the way it was. Jim Magnifici, you worked in Sterling, huh? John Cucci Cooley. Boy, you better be sober when you say that name. Red, did you know Tony the Tag? I used to date his daughter. I never knew anybody with that nickname, Tony the Tag. What crew was he with? Where was he out of? John Cooley. Out of the Splatter brothers, who was the toughest? Tony or Vincent? I think you're talking about Vic, Ryan. Vincent was his son. You're talking about Victor. Victor would tell you in a second that Tony was tougher than he was. Tony was the kind of guy, if he took, you could make bloody his nose, you could knock his tooth out, but he'd come back. He just wouldn't lay down. You got to kill him. He was just a diehard. Would have made a great Marine. Wasn't Messino a tough guy? Yes, he was. Willie Messino? They called him Wee Willie, but I'll tell you what, he was another dynamite. Kind of like Collada. He was a bull. Just a short, stout, but a knockdown, drag-out guy. You send him to collect money, he's going to come back with it. That's the way he was. You heard Vincent was the deadliest. You heard wrong. You heard totally wrong. Vincent was not the deadliest at all. Well, folks, I hate to tell you this. That's Zach. You're wrong. Joey Lombardo was a boxer. His name was Joe Palooka. He kept getting knocked out. Kurt Hansen, yeah, he was a tough guy. A real tough guy. I watched him beat somebody to death. He was a tough guy and had nobody backing him up. And Christina Morris, you're right. It was Patrick that was the dentist. And he was the legitimate one. Vic was tough, but he wasn't as tough as his brothers. Michael wasn't tough at all. Michael was a total tag along. Had to be Joey the Clown because it was a boxer in the old days. All of them were boxers in the old days. Marshall Cafano was a boxer. That's why he had a cauliflower ear. And by the way, there's Tony John Cucci Cooley. There's Tony. This guy is a nobody. He's a zero, man. Tough Tony, huh? If he's tough, it must be with, I don't know, kids. You know, when I say kids, I mean somebody under 30. Vince Solano, he might have been in his younger years. Uh, he kept dangerous people around him. Jasper Campisi worked for him, and he was a tough guy, very tough guy. But he also was murdered for actually the attempted murder on Canito. Hey there, Red, and everyone. I hope that you're all doing well, having a happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all of you folks. God bless you. You thought Pat or Patsy was Spilacio's dad. There was a Patrick Sr. that was his father. And Pat was the oldest son, the firstborn. And they named him Patrick after his father. I hope that helps you, Sean. Okay, little notes there. Thanks, Chris. I hope you have a great weekend. Hey, from the outfit. He used to tell me all stories. He went by the name of Tony Tag because he tags people on the toes. There's a lot of people running around telling stories, and they're a little bit younger than I am. I'm 76 years old, John, and it's a little bit different with me. When I go back to my 20s and 30s, I was a little bit different. I was never a killer in the sense where I do that kind of heavy work, but I definitely took care of myself and people around me. I got into some rough stuff. Yes, his dad was called, or his pops, Pasquale, but his real name was it was Pasquale, but they call him Pat. That's what it was. Tim Hunt, if you don't mind me asking, was I rough on anybody back then? Yeah. Yeah, I was. I learned how to choose my fights. I know Frank Schweiss respected me. I don't think he feared me, but he respected me. He was always giving me hints, telling me what to do. I think it's in a couple of the videos. He says, before you go down and jam with that guy, make sure you defang him. Defang him means take a pistol away from her or a weapon before you go to fight with him. And a couple times he said, just my Doberman. He said, Red, I'm in no mood to jam with that dog. And I don't want to jam with you. So I don't know what that means. Did I ever do anything? Yeah, I did a lot of things. Yes, 250 years was really good. Red, who would win a fight? Tony Spilaccio or Adam Flowers? Tony Spilaccio. He would flatten the big guy. That big guy's all the way up. He's a tree trunk, but he would definitely. Jim Magnifici, that super glue is really true. I mean, here I go. I may be called a racist for this, but I don't think I was being racist. For all you folks that don't know the story about the super glue, was I used to have young people come over from Cabrini Green, which was right down the street from where I was. And they were street gangs, street punks. They were bad people. But occasionally they pulled guns on me and all different kinds of stuff. So what I used to do is drive them over. I'd throw them in the trunk of the car. And I'd drive them over to the Chicago Avenue Bridge, go to Wells in Chicago, make a right-hand turn. And I'd throw them off the bridge. But if you went a little bit further, there was a garbage dump. And the river very seldom froze over. I mean, it was chemicals in there. And when I throw these people off the bridge, it was kind of bad. That's in my book too, throwing people off the bridge. But the guy that you're talking about, Jim, was I had just Crazy Glue just came out, and I needed something for the machines or something at the store, and I believe I was in my Mark IV back then, and I threw him in the trunk, and he was a troublemaker, threatening me, and I drove him over the bridge, got to the other side. And I drove out into the junkyard, or I don't know, garbage dump. And as I drove out there, I was running glass and other things. I was kind of worried about the tires on the car. But when I got out, my partner was with me at the time. When I got out of the car, I opened the trunk, never shut the car off. And after I opened the trunk, this guy was cuffed, handcuffed, not tied. He was handcuffed with handcuffs, Smith & Wesson cuffs. I went to the glove compartment where I knew I had just gone to that Walgreens on the corner of North Avenue and Wells and bought some super glue. It might have been Crazy Glue, but I think it was super glue. And it was cold out, very, very cold. So I pulled his pants down around his ankles and threw super glue all over his hands and pushed them tight against each butt cheek. Have you ever tried to get super glue off? It doesn't come off that easy. And there was snow out. And he was walking around doing the two-step with his pants around his ankles, underwear too. I left him there. Never saw him again. Never saw him at all. There's quite a few people that I had to do something to, and to get their attention to say, don't do this again, especially if they rob me or steal from me. That was bad. Once you get a reputation for being an easy mark, it's over. Sean Nolly, of course, he respected you, Red. You might have turned him over into the to the cross-dresser for another beating. Oh, Schweiss? No. I think he was drunk that night. I really do. But he sure didn't want to admit it. Thank you, Mickey. Hit that like button, folks. Let's see if the algorithm can pick this up. Am I saying it right? Algorithm. I'm trying. Yeah, I went Fist City with a few people too. There was one guy that was he was a boxer at Northwestern. And he kept bragging about it. Said he was on the boxing team at Northwestern University. And that's the kind of guy you don't give him a chance. You get in there and get it over with real fast. I must have hit him 4 or 5 times before he even got his hand up. And he went down. He went down on one knee. And he said, don't hit me no more. That was it. When somebody quits, they quit. So, did we hit all the tough guys? There were a lot of tough guys in the Chicago outfit. I mean, there really were. But there were some people like Sam DiStefano. He wasn't tough. Even when he was a kid, he wasn't tough. He just wasn't tough. But he had other people around him that were. Kurt Hansen, he was tough. Big Bob Davids, we called him the Goon of Glockamora. Bob was, Bob, I wrote about him in my book too. He picked up Lenny by the collar, and he was on a raised platform. It was about maybe 3 feet off the ground. And he reached over and picked him up and pulled him over the counter and set him down on the ground. He looked at him and said, this isn't no leg breaking situation. I just want to know, where can we find Red? And Lenny said, I don't know. And he said, get him on the phone right now. And he did. He got me on the phone. He paged me. And I called him back. He was at the store. And he said, this guy's going to kill me. And I said, no, he's not. He's not going to kill you. There's too many witnesses. And I'm on the phone. And he just told me he's not going to kill you. But Lenny was scared. And the guy, I could hear him in the background. He says, you tell him to get down here. And I just told him, go. I don't even want to tell you what I told him. It was bad. So, Nutsack Zach, are you still here? Are you listening to stories? I always got stories to tell. My life is full of stories, man. Any questions, folks? Christina Morris, happy birthday. Thanks for sharing your life stories with us. See you soon, everyone. Thank you, Christina. God bless you. God bless all of you folks. And Semper Fi. I'm always faithful. Always. As you people are to me. I love all of you. God bless you.
The combination of the videotapes and Ouimette's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiz, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.